Well, hello there. Welcome to my channel, or indeed welcome back to my channel if you've been watching my videos already. I really appreciate that. Um, Sorry for the delay between the previous video and this video if you have been watching. I've been going through it. I've got hockeyed out of it spiritually and energetically in the last 2 months, so I really needed to use all my energy to work on that. And what I mean by that is I was receiving waves and waves of negative energy to transmute, and attacks, spiritual attacks. Um, Something I'm accustomed to. I'm used to it at this stage, and there are forces that would much prefer I did not share what I'm sharing, what I intend to share along this journey, along this story. There are also people who would much prefer I shut my mouth, and they're working against me to try and stop me from doing this. But, you know, womp womp, I'm not going to stop. So, where were we? I guess we'll just continue. I want to go ahead and share a little bit more about the next few rituals that I did, the ayahuasca rituals, but really also what started to happen in between, and all of the new developments that came with the doors of my perception being kicked the fuck open. So let's go ahead. I have some notes here in front of me. That's why I'm looking down sometimes. I have to try and organize my thoughts, and the notes help me a little bit. So I'm a list person. I like to make lists and stuff. So yeah, basically we're up to ritual number 6, ayahuasca ritual number 6. Before I go into it, around this time, we had been dealing with the beginning of the COVID pandemic. There was a lot of confusion in the air. There was a lot of fear, a lot of shit happening. Everything was quite uncertain at that stage. It was quite near the beginning. This was what, like October 2021. So started first week in October 2021. Ritual, ayahuasca ritual number 6. Around this time, obviously these gifts that I had been developing were increasing in intensity. My dreams were really, really strong, really, really vivid, full of messages, full of subconscious symbology that was telling me things and showing me things. And one thing that I found very interesting, I just kind of forgot about these things. I'm really reviewing these together with you because I forgot all of these notes so much that it's difficult to remember everything. But yeah, I remember at the time having this new connection, and also having been a conspiracy theorist for years before I even touched spirituality. I had my concerns about this whole pandemic situation that was after appearing at the time. So I used my new found gifts to figure out if I should or shouldn't go with the crowd and take the clot shot. I'm just going to call it what it is. So one day I sat down and I asked my guides, I said, with all this that's going on, should I take that clot shot? I closed my eyes and instantly I just saw this syringe symbol with a red circle around it and a red line going through it, just like a no smoking sign, but with the syringe inside. So that was enough for me. I trusted my spirituality, I trusted my guides, and I also had my own discernment and abilities to think. So that was it. way back in the beginning, I was like, I'm not going down that road. And I thank my spirituality and I thank God for giving me that confidence and strength to not cave to all the pressures that were put on us um, by the powerful people, government, media, and even our family and friends. So, but I was having dreams. I was having dreams. I was having dreams of officials coming to the door, looking for proof you've been vaccinated. So it was quite intense, and there was a lot of fear. I was afraid in the beginning. I saw the story coming out in China, and I started to tell people about it. I was like, "Hey, it might be a good idea just to educate a little bit on viruses, things like that, because it seems like there's something happening in China." People thought I was crazy. I was telling my students, I was like, "There's something happening in China. It looks like it's gonna cause some problems. Maybe you should have a look into it." Teacher, you're crazy. But yeah, sometimes crazy is a mistake. Sometimes craziness is mistaken for earliness. Right? When you say things too early, it seems crazy. But I'm always vindicated. So the next, let's get ahead. The next ritual we went to was ritual number 6. And like I said before, each ritual can have its own theme. This ritual was Hindu, so it was with music and offerings and the energy of Shiva and Ganesh. So 2 Hindu deities, 2 gods from that pantheon, right? So again, another really powerful ritual. Almost every time, it's mind blowing. So much so that every week, it's almost like the best week of your life because your mind is blown again and again and again, and you don't know. How can it get any better? How can your mind get blown again so soon? You know. But anyway, yeah, this ritual was very, very powerful. Yeah, there was a lot of mantras involved and great music. The thing with mantras, even without medicine, the sacred medicine or anything, you can use them. They're a really powerful tool to connect with spirit, because what you're doing is you're repeating the same sound over and over and over and over again. Some religious groups, Hare Krishnas, Hindus, will chant mantras for 2 or 3 hours without stopping, and by the time they get to the end, they're in a trance. They're just not here anymore, and they're connecting with spirituality. So that powerful tool of a mantra combined with the expansive properties of the medicine, it was pretty intense. And I want to point out that the visual, when the visions kicked in, when the force came, I found myself in this lighthouse again. This was a theme that had started to appear in each ritual, or a couple of rituals, was I'm in my lighthouse. Do you ever see Sherlock Holmes, the TV series, where he's like in his mind palace and he's able to like move through rooms in his mind palace where he's stored all the information that he's ever learned or whatever. So it was almost like this lighthouse was my safe space, or like my mind palace, and I kept going back there. I kept finding myself there in each ritual, or at least in some of the rituals. And each time the lighthouse was different. It had a different ornamentation based on the energy that we were working with. So in this case, the lighthouse was very beautiful. It was like encrusted with jewels and treasures, and I'm sitting at the top. There was a big snake, a cobra, actually a king cobra, all wrapped around the lighthouse, and I was sitting on top, and this giant snake was just like beside me, and there I was. The light going on the top of the lighthouse was what I started to understand as like a signal, like I'm here, I'm calling out, come to me, connect with me, spirit. Yeah. So a really interesting part of that ritual. I'm not going to go into all the details in every ritual, or we'll never get anywhere. But one very cool part of it was when there was a mantra that played for Kali, the goddess of destruction, also another Hindu goddess, very powerful energy, and something took over during that mantra, and I started to dance. Started to dance in a way that I'd never danced before. It was like doing freaking Street Fighter Hayoukens in different directions. There was a structure to it. It was like I was cleaning energies, or like I actually don't know what I was doing in that particular moment, because it wasn't necessarily me. It was this energy of Kali, and anyway, the mantra kept going, the dance kept going. It didn't stop. It didn't stop, and and it got faster and faster and faster and faster. I entered into a trance. I was spinning, doing this dance. Amazing. It felt really cool. But I must have been moving and dancing so much and spinning that faster and faster and faster. And when I got to the end of the mantra, I actually collapsed. I collapsed on the ground, and I couldn't really get my breath back. But during the dance as well, my body moved in such ways that I didn't know my body could move. Like, whatever energy had taken over this time, I bent, my back got right bent back like that. I'm not particularly flexible. My back was way bent back like that, so much so that it worried the guardians, the workers in the tribe, that they came around me and just stayed near me, because I don't know, I suppose they didn't want the gringo to get hurt, right? But that was pretty interesting. But what was actually more cool, or what was even more interesting, was the next day, when I was at home. I was just sitting on the sofa, and I started to close my eyes, and I almost went into a little trance, and I realized that I was able to, with my eyes closed, I was able to use my hand, or use my fingers, to open portals. Essentially, I was sitting on my sofa meditating. I'd started meditating more at this stage, and then while I was meditating, I started to have visions. And then I realized that I could use my fingers while my eyes were closed, in this altered state. And when I put my intention into it, using my breath, I was able to draw symbols in the astral realm, or the spiritual realm, in my mind. And I learned intuitively, through guides, through the energy that was with me, always guiding me at this stage, that I could use the pentagram, the symbol of the pentagram, to access the elements, the 5 elements, right? 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water, and spirit, the 5th, or love, some people might say. So the 5th element on top. Actually, this is a pentagram. Well, it's actually a pentacle. A pentagram is a star. When it has a circle around it, it's a pentacle, but I'm just dealing with the pentagram in this case. So the pentagram has 5 points. Each one represents an element. So it's almost like a key or a portal. What I was able to notice when I did that, it took me some time, because it was like as if I was being taught to visualize, and each point would have a color representing the elements. And I found it very difficult, because I knew this element was here, and this was here, and this was here, and this was here. But to visualize all the colors at the same time was difficult. I could think in blue and visualize the water one being blue, but then it was very hard to visualize yellow for the air and put air where it was supposed to be in my mind without losing the blue. So during this process of making these visualizations, it was like I was practicing multitask visualization. It was like, okay, you can focus, you can visualize that color, but can you visualize that color and then put another color below it? It wasn't so easy. But this process helped me to improve my visualization and understand this key, this pentagram, and the elements. When I finally was able to visualize all 5 points with the individual colors, yellow for air, blue for water, red for fire, and green for earth, and then purple or violet on top for spirit. When I got them all visualized correctly, the pentagram sort of burst open, all the colors went into the middle, and it all became white. And I put my hand through it, and my hand started to vibrate. I could feel the energy inside, and I was like, that's fucking cool, right? Just sitting on my sofa. I was like, okay. And then one of my guardians came. This was when he first introduced himself. I had already kind of connected with him, but he'd never told me his name. But it was on this day, after I did that he told me his name, and he started to kind of to give me some advice. He told me a little bit about who he was, and the name that he uses is a known name within the egregores of, or the religions, the spiritual groups in that country, in Brazil. So he came to me in the kitchen when I was just sitting in the kitchen, and literally I like very, very clearly. Usually the communications are in my head, but this time it was very, very clearly in my left ear. He said his name, and he said it 3 times, so that I wouldn't have any doubt, because he knows that I doubt those things too. He knows that sometimes I would doubt the validity of those things, so he made sure that I wouldn't doubt it. He said his name was Tata Caveira, which means kind of like old skull or master skull. He presented himself to me. He had a flaming skeleton face with a black hood, flaming skeleton face, black robes, and he gave me the gift of presenting himself. He told me that he doesn't normally present himself to people because he's pretty scary looking. He also usually will cover his face with the hood way down, so you can't really see him. But yeah, he taught me a lot of things on my path. Evolved spirits can present themselves as whatever they want. I didn't know that at the time, but they can plasmate themselves, or they can manifest themselves and show themselves to you if they choose, or they can simply be there and not show themselves if they want. So yeah, he introduced himself to me, and he was quite happy. He was very happy that I was studying a little bit about magic and learning about the occult and energy manipulation, and he connected with me over that because he is a master in energy manipulation, like most evolved spirits are. So yeah, that was a very nice encounter. He showed me that he likes to use a staff or a cane. He asked me if I could get him a cane. A lot of spirits, guides, these entities will have some sort of object that they like, or some sort of tool, or various tools will ask a medium to get, and the medium then will use that tool when in communication with that spirit or with that guide. Kind of acts like an anchor as well for them, I think, here in the physical. So yeah, he asked me for a cane. Igor's guide or guardian also came the same day, and asked him for a trident. That was his tool that he wanted. So this was an experience that we were kind of sharing all the time, myself and my ex-husband. We were always together discovering things. He had his connection too, and then we'd get messages for each other. We'd share what was going on. Sometimes it would happen together, sometimes separately, but it was always kind of a shared experience that we were both going through and enjoying. So this visit from my guardian made me really excited. Made me really excited. I felt honored. I felt special. Now, it could have been my ego, but I felt protected. I felt looked after. I felt a lot of good things. Right? And this kind of like confirmation about like energy manipulation and magic and what I had been starting to discover through learning and reading, this kind of like emboldened me to go deeper and to be more like him. I wanted to learn, and I wanted to be a master like him, you know, in my mind. And the next day I started to practice a ritual, a daily ritual, called the LBRP, or Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram. Sort of a standard ritual. I learned in a book called The Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn was a magical order back in the day. I think it was founded in England. It was basically a magical school for like Freemasons and things like that. I'm not the most academic. I kind of know a little bit about a lot of stuff, and I'm not like some people who are really good at studying history and shit like that. I get bored. I prefer to fuck around and find out. But anyway, I did study. I did read, and I started to do this ritual, the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, because I had been learning about how I can use the pentagram. So things started to develop and get more intricate. The Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram is something that you can use to banish energy from your space, from you. It has many uses. You're essentially calling down divine energy, divine light into your body, into your being. And like I had mentioned about the little pentagram practice ritual I had done previously, you actually end up you use your hand, you use your fingers, or you can indeed use some sort of ceremonial knife or dagger to draw the pentagrams and the lines that encompass you during this ritual of banishing. You can banish, and so magic practitioners will do this as a daily thing, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times a day, depending on their devotion, their commitment, or their practice, or or their needs maybe, or however they want to do it. So I started to do that every day, and in the beginning, I could kind of see the visualizations, but as time progressed, it was incredibly cool, because whenever I did it, I could see the flaming blue pentagrams. It's all the LBRP. It uses flaming blue fire to trace the pentagrams, to make a big circle around you, protective circle around you. And then there's other parts as well, other little rituals before that and after it that add to its complexity. And by the end of it, you've got this massive grid of lights around you, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be in the middle of that. It's almost like you're in VR. Do you ever do that VR thing where you're like, you can paint in 3D? So when you're using the hand and controller and you're moving it around in the 3D world, you're seeing the lines get traced, and you can do art in 3D. It's like that, but in the astral, or in the spiritual world. You're visualizing all that around you, and when I say visualizing, you can kind of visualize stuff, but what are you actually doing when you do that? You're creating it. If, with focused intention, those visualizations, um, with enough thought behind them, they manifest. They become real, in a sense. So I started doing that every day, banishing whatever didn't serve me anymore, trying to fill my light body, fill myself up with light more and more and more. And yeah, that's the kind of the beginning of the magic, the real magic side of things, the occult side of things. Don't get me wrong, ayahuasca is ayahuasca, shamanism is shamanism, healing, it's of the forest, it's one thing. Occult, magic, the Golden Dawn, it's another thing. For me, on my path, they completely mix, they completely intertwined. I don't think that will happen for you or for everyone. It might happen for you, it might not happen for your friend. Everyone's path through this life is different, and that's how mine ended up. You could go and study magic and the occult and just do that, and you can go and do ayahuasca. It doesn't necessarily, they're two different worlds, but for me they mixed. So I'm not here to say, like, if you go and do ayahuasca you're going to have those experiences, or you're going to end up in the occult or anything like that. All right, they're two different worlds. Like I said, for me they merged. So anyway, the next ritual, a couple of days, it was like a week later, which was ritual number 7, right? And this was a ritual of, like, it was very much roots. It was very much like shamanistic ayahuasca of the forest, and it was probably the first ritual where I kind of was disappointed. It was the first ritual where I was like, what, nothing's happening, or what was happening was weak, or like not so mind-blowing like the previous ones. And I know why. So before ritual number 7, I had started to identify areas that I had never, areas for improvement, areas of weakness, that I decided, oh, this will be what I will work on in the next ritual. I identified lust as a big issue for me. In my life, I'm just gonna be honest. I had always had issues, like growing up, with alcohol, partying, drugs, sex. I wouldn't say I had, and I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic or a drug addict, but I would say I had an unhealthy relationship with all those things, with pleasures, right, including sex. So I was a party. I was a party animal, and very promiscuous. And I'd try anything twice to make sure I didn't like it, basically. And at this stage in the story, I didn't want any of those things anymore. Ayahuasca had been helping me to not necessarily go to those things, but in the absence of them, the whatever holes were there, whatever traumas were there, or whatever was the original reason why I would distract myself with all those things, it started to show itself. It started to come up because I wasn't distracting myself all the time with alcohol or weed or anything like that. I was better in relation to all those things, but then the mask was ripped off. So I had to sort of look at myself and be like, why do I have this feeling? Why do I have this desire? Why is that there? I don't want that. I don't want that. I didn't want that in me. So ritual 7, I went into it with all these expectations. I was like, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to sort this out. I'm going to resolve that. I'm going to call my guides. I'm going to connect with him, and I'm going to incorporate him, and this is this and that. And during the ritual, The ayahuasca, ritual number 7, um, she essentially didn't allow me to enter into the force because I had too much in my mind. I had too many expectations. And she was essentially saying, like, she was essentially saying, no. It's like, chill out here. Hang on a second. Who do you think you are? So it was like, it's hard to explain, but it's almost like you need to incorporate and understand and integrate certain things before she's going to show you anything else or move forward with the process. You gotta learn the lessons. You can't go and expect the next lesson or the next class if you haven't passed the test from the previous class, or if you haven't incorporated and really learned up until then what you were supposed to be learning. So yeah, I went into it with a lot of expectations, and she was like, no, that's not how you do it. You need to be patient. I know better than you. And the spirit does. The medicine knows what you need. The spirit behind the medicine, she knows what you need better than you know what you need. That was the kind of lesson she gave me in that case. So yeah, it was a kind of a disappointing ritual because I didn't get all these amazing mind-blowing experiences, and I connected with my guides a little bit, but it was more of a lesson for me. It was like, ayahuasca ritual, it's for you, for your healing, for your evolution, etc. The purpose of it is not for you to call your guardians and call your guides and incorporate them and work with them. If that happens naturally, it's a gift. It's because they're there to do something. They're going to work through you to help you or to help other people. Maybe another person's guide or guardian will come to work through them to help you or other people. But it's not the objective. But I kind of loved it so much that I wanted it to happen. I was like, I loved that feeling. I was like, this is so cool. I'd never experienced anything like that before. I was like, I want to do that more. But the lesson was that, it's okay to have intentions. It's okay to ask the medicine for certain things. But certain expectations need to be dropped, and you need to surrender to the process. And I had to learn that in that ritual, where I didn't really get to enter the force or feel all the same stuff that I had been feeling in previous rituals. That was so cool. So it was a lesson in patience, big lesson in patience, just to drop the expectations, trust in the process, and be patient as well. Be patient. Patience is really important. So the idea was that if you want to develop your connection with your guides and your guardians, there's other places you can do that. It doesn't mean you can't connect with them in the ritual. It's very easy to connect with them in the ritual because your mind is so expanded. But there's other places to develop that skill. Yeah, there's religions in Brazil where you can go and develop that skill. Umbanda, Kimbanda, I've already mentioned them. So that was a big lesson for me. Also, it was there was kind of a little bit of a slap upside the head as well. It was like, stop smoking weed before rituals. It's part of the kind of diet or the regime that you do a few days before to purify yourself. Maybe I didn't give enough days this time. It was like, that can affect your ability to enter in to the force of the medicine and connect. Especially if it's something that you're doing as a distraction or an addiction or a cover-up, when you should be purifying yourself for the ritual, right? But one interesting thing that did happen at the end of that ritual, a couple of people asked me for Reiki. One guy, his nickname was Big Wizard. That's what people called him. big wizard. So someone who was quite well advanced on that path of magic, occult, etc., etc. He asked me for a Reiki. So I was like, yeah, I learned to do that in the other ritual. I know what I can do that. Never did a Reiki course, never lifted a book, but sat down beside him and started to do Reiki. Done my pentagram. I was like, okay, let's go. I just went. It was intuitive. Did my pentagram, got my elements ready, took the elements one by one and put them into his body. It was very beautiful, actually. I could see all these things happening, and it wasn't so much like, oh, I'm going to visualize this and then visualize it. It was like just happening. So I was like, started off with like gold light coming from my hand, creating like bandages around him like a mummy, like gold bandages, and then with spaces in between, and then pink light came. I clicked my fingers and pink light would come, and then I'd put pink bandages, gold, pink, gold, pink, gold, pink, like that. So it'd be like a mummy. And then over the stomach area, I'd like just like open that a little bit, take the first element, take the fire, push the fire in and fill up the inside of the bandages with fire. And so this was all just happening through me. It's like as if I'm doing it, but I'm not. Also, my God, it's like I'm being guided also. Or at least at that time I was being guided. So I was being taught at the same time. And then I'm put the fire in and burn up all inside, burn up it, transmute everything. So then after the fire, like take the water and put out all the fire like rain. I'd make it rain on top of him, wash away all the fire, put it out, right? All steam would come up, steam. I could see all this happening. It was so fucking cool. And then I'd grab like the yellow, the wind, the air, and I'd blow all that ash, all the dirt, everything from after the water. It was all dirty. It was like blow all the ash away. And then finally I'd grab the green, the earth energy, and put that in. And when it was so beautiful, and put that in, fill the whole body inside these bandages. It was all green light. And then suddenly grass and trees and stuff would come growing through, and the bandages broke open. I didn't plan any of it. This is just what happened. The bandages all breaking open. You could see all trees and stuff. So this ended up like his body full of trees and things like that. Grass and flowers bursting out of the trees, and then even birds and snakes and butterflies flying out, like all this rejuvenation. So I went through like this elemental Reiki that I had learned intuitively, and I was doing all this with him. And then like he started vibrating, like his whole body just started vibrating as I was with my hands over him towards the end of it. And he just started shaking. His face was shaking. It was like he was sucking in all this energy. And stopped anyway, and he started like breathing heavily, and he was just like, whoa. He was like really like blown away, and I was blown away because he was blown away, and I was like, well, I can do this. I didn't even know I could do this. So it was an interesting confirmation, and of that Reiki ability, this elemental Reiki that I had never even heard of. And it was kind of putting into practice previous lessons, the pentagram visualization that I was able to do at home without real purpose, but now I know the purpose. Now I could understand the use. So all the time things were like that. It's like something happens, you learn something, you don't really understand it. There's a lesson, there's something there, you don't really understand it until some point later. Then you go, oh, that's why I learned that. That's why they showed me that. That's why I had that intuition. That's why I got that message. It's later you figure it out. It's such a repetitive pattern in the spiritual process, at least it was for me. It's like all this shit happens, it's confusing. You figure it out later. They always tell you later, right? So, yeah, what's next? A couple days after that, Just a strange, um, let's say, paranormal or supernatural thing happened in our house. In our kitchen, we had my altar. We had an altar set up, beautiful big altar with loads of shelves, all of our images of. We had lots of stuff. It was like an altar from Roman times. You know, back in the Roman Empire, they basically collected gods from all sorts of cultures. They had many statues, many gods. They loved all the different gods. It was quite cool. But I felt like it was kind of like that. I had like Jesus up here, and then I had like Orishas on this shelf, and we had Archangel Michael over there, and the many different things. And then we had images of our guides as well, like the ones that we had started to learn about and connect with from these egregores, from these religions that exist there. Eshu, my guardian who I mentioned, Tata Kaveri, he's an Eshu. Pombajira, a female version, another entity. Caboclo, Ere, the indigenous spirit, children spirit, all these archetypes that these evolved spirits can use to actualize themselves or to work within those egregores, within those religions. So my caboclo, my indigenous spirit, may very well have been an indigenous person in one life or another, probably was, not necessarily. The evolved spirits can sort of assume an archetype. They can assume a useful archetype which allows them to manifest here, which gives us something to understand them by. So it's like, oh yeah, he's that energy, he's that indigenous caboclo healer warrior energy. If they didn't take that archetype, how could we understand them? We wouldn't see them. We wouldn't have the same ability to connect with something without a form, without an archetype, without an identity. So spirits have no form, they have no body, right? They're like gas. They're less dense than gas. So it's like they need something in order for us to understand them. It's the same with gods, right? They're not gods and angels, right? Archangel Michael. I have a statue of him up here. He's awesome. He's looks beautiful. Big wings, golden sword, gold armor. Cool. That's not what Archangel Michael is, right? He's an energy with no form. But if he's going to come and appear to you, how are you going to know it's Archangel Michael? How are you going to know it's that energy? Well, he has to take a form that you're going to recognize. So it's that energy. So it's like that. But anyway, in our kitchen we had our altar, all of our statues on it and stuff like that. But we had a refrigerator in the corner, and on top of the refrigerator I had a statue of a cat. It was just kind of like a stylized cat, kind of cool. It wasn't anything necessarily spiritual or religious, so it wasn't on the altar, it was just on the fridge. We had actually two cats at this stage. And the statue on top of the fridge, we woke up the next day. We woke up one day, and I went into the kitchen, and Igor said to me, "Hey, did you turn that statue around?" I was like, "No." But I looked at the statue, and the statue of the cat, which had been looking out towards the room, was completely turned around the other way, looking into the corner of the kitchen, the wall, right, just behind the fridge. So that's weird. What does that mean? I would find out later what that was. I didn't understand at the time, but they were trying to show us something without showing us something. The guides. Sometimes you might say, "Oh, well, you go through all this shit, you go through all these hardships. Why don't they help you? Why doesn't your guardian angel come and save the day?" Because you're supposed to learn. You're supposed to figure stuff out. You're supposed to go through certain things so that you can grow. They can't take that process away from you, and they can't do it for you, but they will hold your hand as you go through it, and they'll give you a hug afterwards. But they're not gonna take away all of your learning opportunities. It wouldn't be right. So the cat was turned around. There was something weird going on. I tried to ask them why. I didn't get any answers. So sometimes you don't get answers, and that's okay, because then you know it's something that you need to figure out. There was something. There was something in the house. There was something there, specifically in that corner, in that wall. Spirits hide in walls, by the way. They can hide in walls and floors and stuff like that. Believe it or not. So that was just a little weird supernatural thing that would come into play later. And it, well, we'll get there. We won't spoil it just yet. So the next ritual number 8, was on the 30th of October. So the end of the month. And once again, this particular ritual was cool. It was a live music ritual with a guy who was like a one-man band. He had like a didgeridoo, he had this, he had that, he had cymbals, he had all this electronics, and so he'd be able to like do these mental combinations of sounds and musics that were unexpected live, and that energy was quite interesting. It opened different portals, right? The music opens the portals during the rituals. So what was interesting though was, once again, I found myself in my pyramid, or not my pyramid, my lighthouse, right? This idea, almost like Sherlock Holmes' mind palace. I'm back in my lighthouse again, except this time it was a little bit different. Again, the style of the lighthouse was different. It was on the moon, first of all. My lighthouse was on the moon, and the lighthouse itself was like as if it was coming out of the moon and made of moon. So like the lighthouse had like craters in it. Yeah. And then on top of the lighthouse, I was sitting inside a crystal purple pyramid. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's funny how it keeps changing each time, you know? So yeah, I was back in my pyramid again, and it was a really powerful ritual. I was kind of back on form after the previous one. I learned my lessons. I learned not to make too many expectations and just let it happen. And boy, did it happen again, because it's like that. If you don't learn, if you don't incorporate, if you don't integrate what she teaches you, she's not going to open up the next class. She's not going. The medicine, the spirit is not going to give you the next step. But when you do learn, especially some lessons that are a bit hard, when you do learn them, it's like, wah, there's a big celebration, and then you get rewards. You get next step, more information, more growth, more evolution. Yeah. So during this ritual, the music was funky, cool. I was incorporating again my guides, getting to know them a bit better, seeing what they can do, seeing what each one's particular style of magic was, because each of them are different. That's why they manifest themselves, right, in different archetypes, because they have maybe different specialities then, yeah, different powers. So I could start to see their different energies and what they could do during a ritual. My caboclo, my indigenous spirit energy guide, mentor, he came, and he came with force, and he was like this. He was like, they like to bang on their chest, so he was like, he had his hands like this and across, really banging on my chest during one of the songs, and he was like, oh! Again, I had done this before, but this time it was really strong. So this tribal motherfucking energy like that, really powerful, really strong, very beautiful. He has such a high vibe, like a real loving energy, and he'd dance around and manipulate energy. And what I realized he could do is he can like create light arrows with his bow and arrow, and like he would work and he would do certain things, and maybe he'd look at a person over there, and then suddenly he'd just go like this. For me, I could see it, but for other people, it's just me in the middle of a room doing these movements. It's like that. But he might make this light arrow and then fire it at a person, across the other side of the room, and then suddenly that person would just go and like vomit everywhere. Done that a few times. He started to make the light balls, right, that I had started to kind of learn about. I was like, I can make these little balls. He could do that way better, like, and then he was teaching me. He's like, he'd make one that was green, and then he'd make one that was purple, and then he'd make the green one bigger and put the purple one inside it, and then take the whole thing and then push it towards someone, and that energy would hit them and start like helping them in some way to give them a little healing energy. Green, a little transmutation, purification, purple, right? So he had all these powers, and he was doing that stuff through me. You can understand why that's so cool. It's like you're just like in a game or in a movie, or like you're doing magical shit, which is like why we enjoy movies, right? We're watching all these fantasy movies like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. We're watching all this stuff and we're like, you know, oh, how cool is that? Wouldn't it be great if you could do that? You can understand why I enjoyed connecting with them so much, is because when they were with me doing this stuff, it was like I was doing this stuff. Right? It's kind of a cooperation. It's like we were doing it together, but they're the ones with the knowledge at this stage, right? So, yeah, talked with him, got connected with him. He was showing me his powers. What else? Oh yeah, when we were in the flow, myself and Igor, the two of us. He was with his guides, and so was I. And there was points in this ritual where it was like, maybe probably like 40, 50 people there, all lying down, doing their thing, doing whatever they're doing. Like we were like actually just like walking around, blessing people with our guides who were with us. Our energies were with us, and we're like, I'm doing that. I'm passing light from my hands. I'm doing Reiki, but I'm doing it on a group. I'm like, bah, bit of light for you, bit of light, bah, bah, passing all these like light balls, blessing people essentially. Igor was doing the same. I was doing this. I'm just loving life. I'm like, whoo. It was all around this stage where I was like, okay, we're healing, but we're also working. We're also here to help other people, and that was a very strong message in previous rituals. It was like, yeah, you're coming here looking for your healing and your evolution and an end to your suffering. But you're getting that now. So what are you gonna do? And it's like first you heal, then you start to heal others, or not heal others, but help others heal. You don't heal anybody. You just unlocking them the ability to heal themselves. The body heals itself. We have the power to heal ourselves. Everyone does. When you cut yourself, right? Take this knife here, for example. If I just cut my arm, it's only ritual. It's not sharp, ceremonial. If I cut my arm, does it not heal all by itself eventually? It does. We can heal everything that we can in ourselves, and that's what a healer does. A healer doesn't come along and do it for you. It just unlocks the ability of your body and your spirit to do it yourself. That's what happens in these rituals. You're healing. You get help, but healing happens inside you. You do it. Your body does it. Your spirit does it. Yeah. So, another interesting thing that happened in this ritual was, again, I'm loving playing with all these things. When my mind is expanded in the rituals, I'm like, oh, let me try something, and I get these intuitions, but they're like little messages. But like it feels like an idea just coming to your head, but you know it's coming from somewhere else. And I was like, often after a couple of hours of transmuting, dancing, firing light arrows and creating balls and passing them around and dancing to the music, doing all these cool things, you're just like, right, work time is finished. I'm gonna sit down now and I'm gonna relax. But you're still in the forest, you're still in the bush. So I lay down, and I was just looking up in the ceiling, and I had this intuition to to put a pentagram portal above me. So I did, and I drew my pentagram. All these things I do with my eyes closed, because I can only see the stuff when my eyes are closed. I can't see it Most of the time I can't see it when my eyes are open. It comes sometimes, but it's usually when it's closed. So I did this pentagram on the ceiling on top of me, and I clicked my fingers, and it opened, and light came out of it, a golden light, and then gold flakes. It looked like a golden, like, it was like confetti or something, you know, like at the end of a show or at the end of a concert. And there's like poof, and all these like confetti comes down, sparkly confetti. It was like that coming out of a little portal, and it all was falling down on me. It was so beautiful, and I was like, oh, that's sweet. I don't know what the purpose of it is. A lot of this stuff is just happening, and I go, don't know why that's happening. What does that mean? Gold flakes. Well, gold is the highest metal, isn't it? It's the best. It's the most expensive one. It's what we like. So it's in alchemy as well. It's what you're trying to get to, right? Another path, another school, alchemy, about transmuting base metals into gold, right? But it's actually about transmuting your base self into your highest self, in a nutshell, right? Another thing, I didn't study academically or anything. I just kind of have like a passing knowledge of it. So sorry, I'm looking down. I'm just reading my notes here as well. But yeah, that was a very powerful ritual. I started to see more powers, more stuff that my guides could do, that my mentors could do. There was one moment, well, apparently, at the end, again, when you're all talking and we're sharing experiences and stuff like that, my husband Igor said, dude, there was one moment I was watching you, and you were walking along the room and you were just like blessing people, but you took one step and you were caboclo. You were this indigenous spirit with the headdress, with the feathers. You took another step and you were someone else. The next step you were someone else. The next step you were someone else. And when he said, I did feel that. I was like, there was a moment where it was like I wasn't just with one guide. It was like they were cycling through me really fast. It was like one came in, left, another one came in, left. With each step, it was like my identity changed, he said, and he could see that at one point in the ritual. And I thought, that's pretty cool. And that reminds me, actually, the Reiki, the elemental Reiki that I did for the big wizard, another guy who goes to the tribe. He said that while I was above him, when he had his eyes closed, but at one point when he opened his eyes, I wasn't me. I was caboclo. I was this indigenous healer warrior guy with big headdress of feathers and shamanic stuff like that. All pure Indian from the forest, right? So there are points, sometimes you can see stuff with your eyes open, but usually for me it's with my eyes closed. But I've had those experiences too, where for moments, when a spirit is with a person, you see the spirit instead of the person. You see what's with them. It's really cool. So yeah, the next ritual. Again, I'm gonna fly through here. I'm building up to the ritual number 10, but the ninth ritual, which was ancestral, shamanic ancestors. It was, the primary lesson there was teaching me about the interconnectedness, right? The interconnectedness of us, of people, the interconnectedness of everything. We're all connected. Everything's connected. That's why, like, when you develop psychic abilities, when humanity evolves more and we do develop our psychic abilities more, probably we won't need these phones. If you're in America, I'll be able to think of you and talk to you in your head, and you'll be able to talk back. But yeah, during this ninth ritual, it was all about that. She was teaching me about interconnectedness of all things. Mostly, though, in the context of the ritual. She was teaching me about how during the process, everybody's connected. and how we can affect each other during those processes, how we can help each other, and when not we should focus on other people and not focus on other people. For example, if someone's going through a particularly difficult process, they're trying to purge something, if you pay attention to them, if you focus on them and connect with them, you can also take that, what they're going through, and go through it with them. And that's not necessarily your responsibility, it's not yours to deal with, and so that's not always advisable. But there was this lesson in the context of the ritual, and everything that you learn in ritual can be expanded to kind of like fit reality, or the lessons in the microcosm of the ritual apply in the macrocosm of life and the universe. Everything's connected, and our thoughts, our focus, and our attention is really important. Right? Wherever you give your attention, wherever you focus on, your creative energy flows there. Your creative energy goes to that. If you have really bad intentions and you keep focusing on someone, you can actually affect them. That negative attention goes to them and affects them. Likewise with positive attention. That's how you can attack people magically and spiritually. That's how you can help people, by praying for them. It's a positive thing. Why do you pray? Pray for someone. You want to help them. You send them good vibes. You send them love. It works because we're all connected. You can help people like that, and you can hurt people like that. So that's why it's really, really important to look inward, and for each of us to start to heal ourselves, to grow ourselves, because we don't know our power, and we don't know the effects we're having on the world around us, on the people around us. Yeah, your heart has an electromagnetic field that expands way outside your body, and if you're happy and you come into contact with people or proximity with people, and your heart is full of love, that vibration is going to encompass them too, and it's going to help them to raise their vibration to love. Likewise, if you're like full of hate and anger, your electromagnetic field is going to affect anything that comes near it. You're going to pull the other person's energy down to match yours, or perhaps they'll help you and pull yours up. It's all interconnected. So we're actually incredibly powerful, each and every one of us. We're all creators, and we're all capable of changing the world just by changing what we have inside. Or if we can improve ourselves and better ourselves and heal ourselves, we raise our vibration, and thus things externally get better too. So that was a ritual number 9. I'm not going to go into anything much more about it because I want to get to the last part. This video is already pretty long. I know my videos are really long, I'm sorry, just have to try and push through, you know. Don't let TikTok and Reels and Shorts destroy your attention span. Stick with me, alright? So, I want to get to ritual number 10, because this one was incredibly cool. It was very dark and heavy. And it was the first time that I was truly put into another density, another realm, where there were a lot of spirits, souls, entities, and they needed to be rescued. It was the first time that I knowingly did this sort of spirit rescue. Anyway, let me get there. It was really intense. So, the ritual number 10, and this was a masculine ritual, so there was only men allowed, right? So you can already see the difference in the energy. Very different energy, right? Remember I said we're all connected. the balance between masculine and feminine is quite, let's say, it's good. Is all I could say. The balance, femininity and mother energy and feminine energy. It's very balancing for men. So imagine blowing the doors of consciousness open, and you're just with masculine energy. Not only that, but we were working with Egyptian gods, right? So it was an Egyptian themed masculine ritual, men only. And it was heavy. It was really heavy. And my guardian, my Eshu, Tata Kavera, came to me. And he said, today you're going to work. We're going to work. And I was like, okay, cool. I want to be useful. I'm ready. I wasn't ready. And turns out he was very, very strongly with me. He actually has a history. He goes, this archetype, Tata Kavera, this energy, this archetype goes way back to ancient Egypt, 600 BC, in fact. I could tell you all the story of him, of that archetype. I'm not going to, you could look it up online if you want. But yeah, connection with the Egyptian gods and this Egyptian energy brought him so close, because he actually came from that, or his archetype that he's using came from that time. He's that old. And yeah, he actually showed me that Ankh symbol, you know, the Egyptian cross. He said that was one of his symbols that he likes to use. And we connected and we learned a little bit and we talked a little bit. But anyway, there was a point in the ritual, as often comes when you kind of go and you feel heavy and shit, because there's something that needs to pass, there's something that needs to come out, there's something that needs to be purged. And there was a point in the ritual where I felt really terrible. I felt a lot of pressure. I felt heavy. I felt sick. I was like, oh God. I knew it would pass because I had felt similar things in other rituals. I knew it was going to pass. But it was really dense. It was really hard. I put my head, I got on my knees and I put my head down on the ground. I was like, oh God, help me. Why am I doing, what's happening? I don't like this. And as I had my head in the ground like this, looking downwards, my eyes closed, down below me, right? Or at least with my eyes closed, I could see. It was as if I was looking down, right? And I could see this black ball. I could see this purpley black ball come up, as if it was coming up from the depths, from an abyss, right? In the blackness of my eye, closed my eyes. But you know, when you close your eyes, everything's black. So in that blackness, I could see this ball coming up from the abyss. It was like purple. It was like a gaseous liquid. Like, I can't describe it any better than that, but it was like a mixture between a gas and a liquid. It moved like a liquid. It was a ball of energy. Compared to me in scale, it looked like it was probably like about this size and just below me while I was looking down. So I had this like liquidy petrol almost color, like shine to it, and it was moving. It looked alive. It felt like it was alive. When I looked into it, I got a feeling of it, and it was like, I don't know, it was dark. I hadn't experienced anything like that before, so I wasn't really sure how to describe it. But there was this purple gaseous liquid, and there was wisps of gas coming off it. That's why I'm like, there's wisps of energy coming off it. So that's why it's like, it was a mixture between liquid and gas, and it was this purple color. I couldn't. I was just staring at it, looking at this miraculous thing that I'd never seen before. And I'm just looking at it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, it wasn't making me feel good. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And often in them moments, you end up asking for help. You're like, oh God, help me, please, guides, guardians. This feels terrible. Please help me. Please help me. You start breathing. You're like, oh. I was looking at this ball, and something started to materialize inside it, and it was like something floated to the top of the ball. It was like it was giving me something, and it was a little ball. It was a little ball, like a little kind of triangle ball with a little neck on it, and it was purple also, like the liquid. And I didn't get a good feeling off it. And something said to me, you're gonna drink this. And I said, fuck if I am. I'm not drinking that. And as soon as I said that, my head was pulled back. Physically, there was entities around me. There weren't people, there was non-physical entities around me. When I refused to drink the purple shit from the magic goo ball that came up from hell, I was like, nah, I'm not drinking that. My head was pulled back. My arms were pulled back like that. I was like that. And I could feel my mouth being pulled open. It felt like there was 2 or 3 people doing this to me, but there was no one there, right? My mouth was pulled open, and I could feel this bottle go, getting, I could hear it, and I was forced to drink this weird purple shit. The ball thing went away, and suddenly, actually, I felt great. I was like, right. And I had these visions. I was like, I had this vision of this thing like going down inside and coating all of my insides. Do you remember in the Matrix when he touches the mirror? When Neo touches the mirror, and then the mirror starts to go up his hand, and then eventually it gets to his mouth, and it goes. Then you see the camera goes into his neck, and then you see all that silver shit going down. It kind of looked like that, but more purple, and it was going down inside me. And I started to feel better, and I started to understand that the reason for it was almost like an antidote. It was like how you put olive oil in your mouth before you try and suck the venom of a snake bite. Do you know what I mean? So that the venom doesn't get into your system, the oil creates this barrier. So that all that came to me, all that intuition was like, okay, now I have this protective barrier. And like I said, this ritual is really heavy. There's a lot of dark energies around. I don't know if it was just a masculine thing, or if it was like it was all men, and there was a lot of people at this ritual, and a lot of people came with stuff. It was like this ritual exposed or brought forward a lot of shadow, a lot of darkness in people, a lot of stuff that was needing to be resolved, and there was no one else to resolve it. There was no one else. So I had to drink this stuff. And as soon as I drink this stuff, it was like Popeye. It was like, now I can deal with this. Now I can sort this out. So an energy took control of me again, like at this time, again an incorporation, like I was getting used to doing with guides, with my guardian, with these spirit mentors. This energy took control of me again, and the music was all Egyptian, and then I started dancing in a totally different way than I had been dancing in previous rituals, and a totally different way than I had ever danced before in my life. these are different energies. And this time I was dancing and it was very like Middle Eastern, it was like Arabian. I was like, I don't know how to describe it exactly, but I'd never moved, my body had never moved in this type of dance before. And I basically danced around and walked around the room in a kind of a nice way. It was almost like a dance walk. And I could see all these negative energies. I could see like black smoke. It was like black smoke above people, and sometimes just in the middle of the room, around wherever. And then I realized that I could eat them. So I would just go over, see someone be lying down on the ground, there'd be a big black cloud of smoke above them, and I just scoop it all up and suck it up and swallow it. And I did this around the whole room. I was eating negative energy. I was sucking it up. I was like eating entities, little thought forms. I don't know, little conscious but primal conscious entities. See, they were like, it's like they're alive, but their existence is limited to a very narrow window of possibilities. They're it's like these spirits or these thought forms are alive, but they're only able to experience one emotion. It's like it's like anger. It's like, for example, anger, that's alive, that has a consciousness, but that's all it is. It's like an alive anger, and it's awfully sad. Actually, it's awfully sad. Imagine that's your existence. You are just that. So I was actually going around and I was sucking all this shit up. Oh, I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that. And here I am eating everything, and I'm dancing, and I'm like some sort of drunken ninja or drunken samurai that's like bloop bloop going around like eating all these negative energies. It was very heavy. But anyway, the ritual came to an end, and as it normally does, people like go and start talking to one another. It was kind of subdued. People were tired. Some rituals are different than others. This one was really, really strong and heavy. And start at the end of the ritual, everybody was going about doing their things, but for me, it wasn't over. For whatever reason, the end of the ritual for me wasn't the end of the ritual this time. And I felt surrounded. And I felt attacked. I felt like I was being poked. Not physically, but like something was trying to get my attention. I felt really, really bad. I felt all this negativity around me. And I had to say to Igor, I'm not okay. And he hadn't seen me like this after a ritual or during a ritual. And I said, I need help. I don't know what to do. I can't. There's something weird going on. I can't deal with this. I feel like I'm surrounded, and I don't know what to do. And he went to the madrina, the godmother of the tribe, the matriarch, let's say. And he said to get help, and she said, "What's wrong?" When she came over, I was sitting up against the wall, and I was like this, like Rain Man or something. I was like, I don't know what to do. And I didn't know exactly what was going on, but when she asked me, the answer came out. She said, "What's wrong?" And I started to speak. I was like, they won't leave me alone. They want to stop me helping people. That's what I said. There's so many of them. and they won't leave me alone. They're angry at me and they don't want me to help people. Saying this. She was like, okay. So she disappeared and she came back with a little bowl with a white candle in it. And she put the candle in front of me and she lit the candle. And she said, pray repetitively. So I did. I put my head down and I started to pray. And the only prayers I know are from my Catholic childhood upbringing, which is like Our Father and Hail Mary. That's it. So I started repeating them over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. Just repeating them. It became like a mantra. So as I did that, over a few minutes, it got faster. I started to pray. It wasn't intentional, but it's like a mantra. Like I said, it gets faster and faster and faster until the point where I was praying that it was like just like noise. Like really fast, like faster and faster and faster until it just became noise, right? And then suddenly it was just like a white light exploded in my head, and a beam of light came down from above me and kind of illuminated me, and suddenly everything was clear, and suddenly everything was and I just like closed my eyes and I could finally see what was around me. I could finally see what was causing all this. It was like I had, when I closed my eyes and then I dropped into another realm, even though I was right in the same place. I felt like it was in the room. There was a slight different level to it. It was like two places in the same place. And I was surrounded by ghosts, people, spirits. They were grey, humanoid looking figures, right? Very normal human shape, but there was a multitude of them. There was, I don't know, at least hundreds of them, all around me. I was in a little circle. There was hundreds of them, and they were just like, do you know that NPC meme where it's just like a grey face? You know the NPC meme, but like grey, like that, featureless. Didn't have any features. I couldn't see faces. I could only see the outline of the head and the shoulders and the outline of the body of each one, right? But no facial features, just grey bodies all around me. And it was as if God or a higher spirituality, an angel, I don't know, it was white light, said to me what to do. And it was like, it was like as if I already knew what to do. It was just like I had to remember, but I didn't know what to do. But it must have been from before this life, where I've come to learn now that a lot of stuff I've learned along the way hasn't actually been learning, but it's just been remembering what I already knew from before here. But in this moment there was this intuition, there was this help. God came along, the light came along, whatever you want to call it, and it was like gave me the knowledge, or it was like as if it unlocked or helped me remember the knowledge. And I was like, okay, yeah, now I know what to do. So I did one of my little balls, made a white ball of light with my hands, and I put all my love and my energy into it, and I put this ball out in front of me, so it was just floating there, like a couple meters in front of me, a white ball. And these spirits, these people, they all moved back to give more space for the ball. They all moved back away from it because they're kind of scared of it. They didn't know what to do about it. They didn't know what it was. They just moved back away from the light. And then out of nowhere, I just had all this confidence. I was like, I know what to do. It was like, and I just started talking to them. I was like, it's okay. I could tell they were afraid. I had so much love in my heart for them at this stage. I wasn't afraid of them. I loved them. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. I had to like, it was like as if I was like reassuring them. I was like, it's okay. I love you. Don't worry. Everything is okay. Don't be afraid of the light. It's going to help you. The light is going to save you. The light is good. It's love. Do you remember what love is? I just started talking to them, like as if I was giving like a little lecture to them. And I was like, everything is okay now. I'm here to help you. We're going to go, okay? We're going to get out of this place. And you're going to be happy. You're going to get healed and everything's going to be okay. And I said, all you need to do is just come forward and touch the light. If you just come forward and touch the light, you'll feel more of this love. You feel the love I'm giving you? You feel the love of me? It's nice, isn't it? That's what you want. You want to feel more of that? Touch my light. Come on. Come on. And they were like really, I could feel their nervousness. They didn't really want to. They needed more convincing. Come on, it's okay. Real gentle. I was like, it's okay, come on. Just like beckoning them to come. And eventually, this took a while. Eventually one of them sort of stepped out of the crowd, slowly walked towards the ball, and he very like nervously touched it. And the second he touched it, he transformed into light, into a big flash of light, and then he basically got compressed into like a little ball of light and instantly shot up into the upwards direction, really fast, like a bullet. It was like up really fast. Just one of them. And then there was like this murmur. It was like you could hear like a murmur between the rest of them, and that was enough. The rest of them rushed to the ball. They were like all of them, all at once, crowd. I could feel them pushing past me to get to the ball. And then they all start touching it, and they all start flying up, transforming into little balls. Another. They were like basically diving on it at this stage. Like there were so many of them that they were touching it at the same time, and they were all transforming to light and going up at the same time, that it looked like there was just a laser going up into the sky, because there were so many of them all at the same time going up. It made a solid stream of white light up into the sky. They all go up, and then the last one just touch, up he goes, and it's all empty except for one that was at the back, and he was different. This one was different. This one wasn't the same. He wasn't a humanoid. He didn't have grey human shape. He was clearer and more defined and not humanoid. He was what you would describe as a demon, like big horns, fiery eyes, massive, monstrous, muscly, claws, big claws. I suppose humanoid in a way, because he had arms, body, legs, but the legs were like not human, but the body looked a bit human, and the arms were human, and the hands were all elongated and then with claws. So it was like sort of exaggerated, or a monstrous version of a human. And this thing was this particular one. He was the last one. All the rest went. All the rest were normal human-looking things, but this one wasn't. But it didn't scare me, because when I looked at it, it was like pathetic. It had this like sad, scared energy. It didn't want to touch the light. All the rest of them did. When they saw the first one go, the rest of them hopped on it. This one didn't want to. He was the biggest, baddest, ugliest motherfucker, but he was too afraid to touch the light. And he required extra convincing. I had to be really nice to him. I was like, come on. Like almost like I'm calling it. When you're really sweet to a dog or to a cat, and you're like, come on, it's okay, it's okay. I actually had to put my hand out, like to beckon him. I was like, it's okay. I'm your friend. I'm your brother. I love you. It's okay. Come on. Don't worry. I love you. Eventually, he started to creep his way closer, and it was like something, I don't know, from a movie where he's like master, like coming closer like that, you know what I mean? And eventually he got close enough, and I was like, now just reach your hand out, just touch it, touch the ball, you're gonna be okay. And this big claw, and he touched the ball with his big claw, and he just transformed in the same way as all the rest into a light and shot up into the sky really fast. And that was the end of that experience. After he went, everything just went sort of like I came back to where to not be in two places at the same time, but just being where I was in the room. And my husband was there with me the whole time. He wasn't interfering in the process, but he was beside me because he was concerned. And suddenly it's just, and actually in fact there was other people watching, and like kind of like, oh bless him, like, oh bless him, oh, like there was other people watching what I was doing. And suddenly just the biggest smile came on my face, and there's like increase in energy and alertness, and I'm like, oh, and really joyful and happy energy, like I just won a battle, like I'd fought in a war and I won. And it was like all these really good feelings. It was like a little reward or something after going through all that. It was like, here's a little bit of ecstasy for you, you know, you deserve it. And I was like, oh, and I was so happy, I felt so good. I was like, I'm just after like rest, what I, at least at the time, I was just like, oh, what did I do? I'm just after sending a bunch of spirits who were here up, essentially. So I just saved hundreds of spirits, and one that was seemed to be probably pretty lost compared to the other ones. And it was just a big victory. It was like such a victory, and it was such a mind-blowing event. Again, like I said, every time, every week, almost, well, at least every second ritual, mind blown. Like, I couldn't imagine it could be blown again. Like, oh, every time it was like the earth was just shattered and there was a whole new perspective. And that kept happening again and again. But yeah, that was the first time that I consciously or visually was able to see that type of thing and do that type of work. And it most certainly wouldn't be the last time that I would deal with that. In fact, from then on, that's what I would do. Not all the time, every time, but it became my task or my job that I would do, which is essentially rescuing earthbound spirits or spirits that are attached to places or people or this world. And when it's their time to go, I can help them along. So yeah, I'm gonna cut the video here. It's already really long. If you made it this far, congratulations. Your mind has not been rotted by TikTok, like mine. And so thanks again for watching. Um, I really do appreciate it. I'm going to try and be quicker with the next video. Um, Let me know if you have any questions. If you put them in the comments, I'll try and answer them if I can. I'd love to know if anybody else has had similar experiences, or if you have your own supernatural, paranormal, spiritual experiences that you'd like to share. That'd be really cool. I love reading stuff like that. So feel free to post in the comments. And I hope the sound and the video is okay. I decided to get rid of that background that I had last time. It kept cutting my hands out and stuff, and I've got better audio now too, so I'm hoping it's better for everybody, and I hope to continue to make the videos better and better as I get better at this stuff. I'm learning all the technology and the platforms as I go, so be patient with me, and tune in for the next one. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, whatever you do, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again for listening. God bless. Bye bye.